Buenas a todos, chavales, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a otro vídeo al canal. ¿Qué tal estáis, chavales? Ya por fin se acerca el final de la semanita. Como bien os digo siempre, que sois un puñetero disco rayado, pero bueno, ya por fin llega el fin de semana. Toca disfrutar, sobre todo, comer como Dios manda, ponernos gordos, que al fin y al cabo, una persona gorda es una persona feliz. Yo me estoy convirtiendo en un ceboso y estoy siendo muy feliz. Y nada, que con el vídeo de hoy, como bien os prometí, ¿vale? Vamos a ver el siguiente partido de playoffs de la DBD League, esta vez entre Elysium y Calamity. Y ya sabemos que vienen ambos equipos de la loser bracket, ¿vale? De los playoffs. Elysium lo vimos perder ayer contra Eternal y hoy vamos a verles a ver qué tal lo hacen contra Calamity. Nada, yo obviamente el favorito es Elysium, más que nada porque Eternal y Elysium para mí son los dos mejores equipos actuales. Ganó Eternal por muy poquito en el vídeo de ayer y hoy debería ganar Elysium porque para mí, os digo, son ambos equipos son los dos mejores, están muy parejos. Y a ver si Calamity se puede llevar algún partido. Yo, vamos, sé quién gana, ¿vale? Pero aunque supiese quién ganase, diría que va a ganar Elysium. A ver si Calamity es capaz de meterle un partido o dos. A ver si en vez de un 3-0 es un 3-1, un 3-2, estaría muy bien. Pero bueno, vamos a ver qué tal son las partidas. Y nada, para que tengo aquí la guía. La ronda uno ya lo estáis viendo en pantalla, se va a jugar Cenobita, que es el pick de Calamity. En la ronda 2 se va a jugar Espíritu, que es pick de Eternal. En la ronda 3 se va a jugar Arponero, que es pick de Calamity. Y en la ronda 4 se jugaría Lo Desconocido, que es pick de Eternal. Y en la ronda 5, que es Tiebreak, ¿vale? Que sabéis que esta killer se decide baneando a los killers y que solo quede uno, que en este caso va a ser Oni, ¿vale? Y con estas 5 rondas se llegaría en teoría a alguien que gane 3 partidos. Y con eso pasaría al siguiente, bueno, a la final directamente, ¿vale? De los playoffs, que en el que está esperando Eternal a su siguiente rival. Volverá a ser Elysium, pegará Calamity la sorpresa y ganará Elysium. Veremos a ver. Va a empezar Marco, el killer de Calamity, contra Análisis, Dan, Speech y Zaka, que ya los conocemos más que de sobra, en el mapa del oeste, con los addons de este addon que está mega roto para que cuando el subente rompa las cadenas con estructuras salgan cadenas adicionales. Y este addon que es literalmente para tunelear, para que le mete herida profunda a un suplente que esté herido cuando se suelte de las cadenas, ¿vale? Y de perks, Noise, brutalidad veloz, intervención corrupta y gancho flagelante. Dos perks para motores y dos perks para ser más agresivo en las persecuciones. Así que nada, a ver qué tal el Cenobita, a ver qué tal hace Marco con Cenobita.
Even mind you, with the rapid brutality pick, which I really like, as opposed to another chase perk like.
Por cierto, espero que me esté escuchando bien de audio. Espero que yo me escucho a mí mismo, yo me escucho bien, pero espero que me esté escuchando bien y que por fin el tema del micrófono ya se haya solucionado por fin, ¿vale? Por cierto, si me veis con poca luz, es que me quita la luz artificial, estoy solo con luz natural. Entonces, bueno, espero que me estéis viendo bien. Perdón, continuamos perdón por este paréntesis.
Save the best for last, or.
Vale, ha encontrado la caja. Muy bien aquí, Marco. Directamente se nota que hay mucha experiencia y mucho nivel. Marco directamente va a la caja, sabe dónde sale, así que va por ella. Y esto es algo muy bueno para el early de la partida de Marco.
Even Bamboozle really doing. Well, there we go. We get that box find off rip
Va sin desconcierto. En este mapa puedes sufrir mucho sin desconcierto.
as we expect to see, but no Bamboozle on Dead Dog can be quite difficult. But I think out of all the killers, Cenobite can really manage.
Yeah, it seems like the rapid brutality makes a bit more sense as the Cenobite, simply because windows are not quite as common on the Dead Dog. So there are obviously some very strong windows. You still have main building, you have the
Error grande aquí, Marcos. Eso no se puede permitir.
house section of the map, but especially if
Ah,
you're
no, vale,
talking
no, no.
about, say, near the gallows area, that's all pallets, right? And in areas such as that, you're going to benefit more from the constant haste than you are the blocking, and that's actually going to
Muy buen de frente aquí.
an early head-on play, so that's going to be stopping Marco right in their tracks.
Muy buen
So
de frente.
any kind of situation that you were looking for there.
Muy buen aquí, Marco.
Now you
Muy
got
bien.
Zarka locked up in this corner. Does have the water tower pallet to play around. Can be pretty even right now. Marco likely just going to look for another
¿Qué cojones? ¿Si le he traspasado?
slick little chain.
Para mí la ha traspasado, ¿eh?
Zaka locked up in this corner. Does have the
Segundo.
water tower pallet to play around. Can be pretty even right now. Marco likely just gonna
¿Qué cojones?
look.
Le ha pasado por aquí. Le ha pasado por aquí, por el sobaco, tú. Alzaca, madre mía.
Another slick little chain.
Mega falso,
Okay, Zaka just an invisibility potion this morning. I guess that helps, you know. The ability to phase through physical objects. I thought that was something.
Muy bien, manteniendo ahí el sitio, la luz, no va apareciendo por ningún lado y sorprende por la derecha. Muy bien aquí, Marco.
Only the nurse could do, but Zaka's pulling it out today as well. That's a danger that is going to be coming through. Procking rapid brutality, allowing yourself to get over to the
Bien.
shack, which is still fully
Vale,
intact.
obviamente.
Killers don't really break this wall all that often, so that is going to be the pallet for it gone. Now you make it over to the
Mete muy buenas cadenas, Marco, me está gustando.
main building.
Quitando que ha fallado una bastante importante, el resto muy bien.
Chain's going to deny a
Bueno, era el sobaco que es muy
bit
falso.
of distance here. Zaka is still going to be able to make this window up top nice and easy. Now this
Error.
is when maybe the Bowser coming, but you needed to hit that chain to sustain this chase. Zaka gets so much distance now. You have to break that wall, and you're also the idea is with rapid brutality and the fact that you
Muy
are
bien.
Cenobita, you're not really gaining any bloodlust, right? So are you even?
Yo aquí habría ido por abajo y rompo la puerta de la derecha, ¿sabéis? Vais por abajo, vais hacia la derecha y rompéis la puerta rompible. Y el superviviente va a estar aquí en la esquina esperando para ver por dónde vienes. Yo creo que allí habría hecho, esa habría sido mejor decisión.
Incrementally
Que soltar la
gaining
ventana.
distance here if you're not landing
verdad.
these picture perfect chains? I really don't think so.
Primer
And with the
motor.
first gen
Está tardando mucho en hacer cuelgues, muchísimo.
getting done as well, I'm sure it's the pressure is really starting to build up for a marker here as Zaka is doing absolutely incredible job at running this main building, not having impaling wire come into play at all, breaking all the chains naturally. A marker just straight up holding W from
Muy buenas cadenas.
not going for a drop down. Beautiful chain though onto Zaka, but
Está metiendo muy buenas cadenas, pero es que está en main sin desconcierto. Va a sufrir mucho. Es que yo no me vendría aquí. Esto, venir Marco a este edificio, la primera chase, para mí es error grande. Yo lo hubiese herido y ya está.
won't be able to shut
Oh.
down this downstairs window with another door that still needs to be broken and a second generator getting completed in the distance. Time's ticking for El Marco.
You need this down, and you need it yesterday. Sniper Elite gameplay will only take you so far. What the hell was
Es que este armario es muy fácil comerse el de frente. Es muy fácil, ¿vale? Porque aquí una chase es muy normal tenerla y es que te lo vas a comer siempre. De cada 10 veces te lo vas a comer 9. O sea...
Well, again at the perfect time. Remember what we say about the tunnel.
Pues... Creo que era Dan. Muy bien, Dan,
Obviously,
Bueno.
they have the talent, they have the individual prowess, but it is their team play that sets
Llega.
them apart. That has been 2 head-on stuns in a
Todo esto por no tener desconcierto, chicos. Por no tener desconcierto. Así sencillo. Mirar lo que está durando la chase.
single chase around this main building. Zaka is able to make this window yet again, and is also going to be making this bottom side window as well. There better not be another. I'm gonna say, I know head-on's still on cooldown, but I was half expecting someone else to pop out there. You
Buena.
have this power to pop out, but you're not going to be able to drop it. So Marco finally going to be getting initial down, but again, you are so paranoid right now because this down is on
No,
a
no
general,
hay nadie.
is on a pallet.
No hay
right?
nadie,
Now,
no hay
of
nadie.
course, Marco doesn't know that all of the other survivors are around, just sort
No hay
of
nadie.
chilling on the generators.
Están
There's
reparando
just
los
more
tres.
time being bought for those gens to get bullied
Claro.
out, right? I mean, I feel like by the time Marco gets this hook, barring a little bit of regression from the pain resonance, you are going to be seeing 2 more
Wow.
gens pop, and you don't even have your first hook, and 3 gens have
Madre mía, qué follada, chicos. Le van a hacer 4 motores en el primer cuelgue.
been completed. This game looking disastrous for Calamity right
Todo por hacer chase en main. Sin desconcierto.
now. Eternal very much in the driver's seat here.
Ese ha sido su mayor error.
And yeah, this really just goes against I think a lot of
Porque las cadenas han sido buenas, las cosas como son, pero claro, ese edificio es muy fuerte.
people's expectations, mine included, as this was Calamity's pick.
Ha
of
utilizado el gancho
killer.
flagelante.
They were coming out into the gates with full confidence that this was the killer they wanted picked first. And oh, we're not quite going to be able to chain that box around. The distance is just too far away to get Dan interrupted on the box, as El Marco's just going to have to play around forcing the stages and trying to get the
A no ser que no resolucione la partida, para mí esta partida pinta muy mal para
Really
Calamity.
catastrophic for Calamity right here, and could spell problems for later on as well. Beautiful chain though.
Muy buena cadena.
On main building.
Si es que tira muy bien las cadenas, pero le falta macro. por un tubo.
Thread the needle, huh?
defenses.
De mecánicas va muy bien el chico este.
Yeah, and the issue is that this hook isn't even in a particularly strong location, right? As you try and get that little trick shot there again, not working out this time, but considering what we generally expect in these sets, all of the Eternal Survivors are just split on generators right now. You don't
Están haciendo 3 motores a la vez.
even urgently need to care about saving Zaka here, right? You could just let Zaka die. Marco is now going to move away from generator, but yeah, that hook isn't in a spot where you can actually defend all the generators. So Marco just has to leave. That's one gen being popped here. And yes, you're going to force, I believe it was Nightlight on this gen in the corner here. Yeah, you can briefly force him off, but that leaves Dan over in the
La ha
corner.
visto, ¿no?
If
Le ha
Dan
visto.
hasn't
Para mí la ha
rotated,
visto.
for the unhook, I'm guessing that's going to be Spitz's job, right? Then
aquí en el late muy mal jugado,
because this last generator is going to be going any second now. Nightlight does end up taking that
Muy
hit,
buena.
but able to get a nice dodge up there and able to continue running this main building as well. Lil, indecisive, can't decide exactly on where to go, but why do you need to? Because last generator's been completed anyway. Now, Nightlight is going to be in for a little bit of a tricky, brutal realization right now. I was going to say with the no-ed, but Marco is going to be recognizing that, okay, maybe I just go for an uninjured survivor here. Maybe I try and pressure out as many people as possible with this no-ed.
Pues llevará 5 cuelgues.
No, the totem is in a relatively hidden location, so it's not going to be instantly found by survivors, but
uy, qué bien aquí Espíritu.
Especially if the chase ends up going, you know, away from the shack and back to the main building once more. So a down and an extra hook.
Aquí Zaka obviamente se va a tirar por proteger a su compañero.
It's very possible.
Porque tiene 2 cuelgues y Spitz tiene 0.
For Marco here on account of no-ed, it just kind of has that effect, right? Marco is very angry at that crow there, tries to bat it out of the way, but unfortunately the crow is a bit stronger on this map.
Hostia, Spitz los ha tenido gordísimos para no tirar paleta.
And it doesn't even matter, the gate's been open now. I do think that we see Spitz go down eventually.
¿Por qué Nightlight se tira al suelo?
Nightlight eventually falls to the deep wound over in the
vale. Esa una herida profunda, no me fijé.
corner there. But that's just, but that's all nothing. And I didn't even say it was just.
Pues 5 cuelgues, partida muy mala, la verdad. Marco ha mostrado buenas mecánicas, ha tirado buenas cadenas, pero la decisión de ir al main, hacer esa chistán tan larga le ha matado la partida. O sea, luego los de frentes le han reventado, se ha comido 2 de frentes en main. Eso le han hecho polvo ya literalmente. Pero vamos, yo simplemente por el de frente, no tener desconcierto, ir a main, yo es que no voy. Es que me olvido, me voy a trozonar los mapas y intento meter un 3G, que en este mapa los hay, e intento ponerme fuerte ahí. Pero bastante mala partida en términos de macro por parte de Marco. Vale, 33-32. Supongo que serás Zaka. Creo que será Zaka con el Cenobita. Efectivamente, Zaka con Cenobita. Vale, mismos addons y vale, se ha cambiado el Brutal Veloz por desconcierto. Yo hubiese hecho lo mismo, la verdad. Estas specs las veo bastante correctas, pero yo Brutal Veloz creo que Cenobita es una spec que le viene bien, pero mejor desconcierto en este mapa, mucho mejor.
Welcome back to the DBD League lower finals. Remember that the loser of this match will receive a nice round $700 to play about with. The winners will get to go in.
¿Ha dicho $750 el premio para el campeón?
Welcome back to the DBD League lower finals. Remember that the loser of this match will receive a nice round $700 to play about with. The winners. $700 para el campeón. Ostras, bastante dinero, ¿eh? No sabía que daban tanto dinero al equipo campeón de la DBD League. 700 pavos, ¿eh? Poca broma, ¿eh? Es bastante dinero, la verdad. Will get to go into the winners finals against Alicio next week for their shot at the $1,500 grand prize of all. I mean, Calamity, Marco did their best, but Eternal really did come out swinging on that Survivor set.
A ver, sinceramente Zaka debería ganar esta partida, ¿vale? 5 cuelgues es muy poquito. Creo que Zaka va a conseguir más.
Only 5 stages handed over on account of a nice little no-ed play at the end.
¿Ves? Con desconcierto sí que puedes encarar en el main. Sí que puedes con desconcierto, pero sin desconcierto, olvídate. Super arriesgado.
Generator completed in record time. Zaka does not have to do a lot to win here, right? You're only looking at 6 stages. And at that point, you if you really wanted to, you could in fact just sit back and relax, kick your feet up, have a couple of margaritas in the nice Dead Dog Saloon sun. Instead, you're actually going to be opting to take the teleport over to Laser on the corner. You're not able to get the pressure out onto... Oh, sorry, teleport through onto Marco. You're not able to pressure out that survivor on the top side. Marco has been opting to complete the box within corrupted generated territory, which is always going to be a pretty good fundamental thing here. So this is buying time for everyone else to split up some damage over to those generators. That's a nice hook that comes through. A lot of chains are going to get broken up. This is a really
aquí, error de Marco.
All of the walls and
error de Marco grande.
That you can use to break those chains.
Qué buena, muy buena.
That's exactly why
llega al palet, llega al palet. Adiós palet.
Most commonly used add-ons. The other one being original pain to inflict a deep wound upon survivors hit with a hook. It's always going to be extra slowdown, right? If you're pressuring out survivors from a distance.
Claro, es que si lo tira tan rápido la partida está perdida automáticamente, por eso ya tienen que venir a protegerle. Lo raro es que no haya alguien con de frente ya metido en taquilla para proteger a su compañero a Marco, porque os digo, aquí meter de frente es muy fácil.
Then, you know, on a generator, say for instance, you can just bully them out that way. We are going to be getting a little bit unlucky on the survivor side here. That generator going to be popping the moment someone hops on it. But Pedro taking the chase over here does mean that they're not actually able to complete that generator in the saloon instead. And so now you have a lot more survivors actually being pressured out.
¿Ves? Ya solo te tienes que molestar de esta ventana. Que contra Cenobita no es tan buena, porque te metes las cadenas y estás follado. Pero la de arriba es muy fuerte.
Initially expected.
¿Ves? Se aleja de la estructura porque sabe que ahí va a ir para el suelo.
Yeah, I believe a total of 3 survivors in the area around main building, which can only really allow for either rocket or laser to be working gens in the distance. And it sounds like
Qué buena, muy buena.
Potential active generator as well. A little bit of progress on the tile that Pedro is running to.
Qué asco de al lado, ¿eh?
Here and getting caught up by the impaling wire chains right before.
Fijaros, primer cuelgue con 5 motores. Marcos hizo el primer cuelgue cuando tenía un motor. Ya se sabe, la partida está perdida.
Being able to make it around that corner, Laser grabbing the box, Marco being able to finish off that gen on the top of main building, and Laser being there as a sort of safe keep to make sure that happens as well.
Gancho flagelante, ahí está.
Yeah, hook comes through. This is going to be a pain resistance applied, so a little bit of regression as well. I mean, I'd say that there are no generators completed, but yeah, there are 2 which are on the precipice right there. That first one going to be going over there. But remember that Zaku is in a very comfortable position, was able to get that first hook at the, you know, 0 gen mark. Now, yeah, 2 gens do effectively get time, but remember that, you know, for Marco, 3 generators were completed,
mal palet.
2 more
muy mal palet aquí.
Will be actively progressed by the time that first hook came through.
Muy mal palet. Ahí ha perdido mucho tiempo ya ese paleta. Aquí error de Marco.
So Zarko is already in a dominant position. Make that more dominant. Marco's now being quiet in the corner. Forces the early pull onto Pedro as well. Now you'll just split even more pressure. You've got to give time for Pedro to maybe get healed up here while Marco stays on the hook. And then remember that in, you know, about a minute or so, someone is going to have to go deal with the box as well. There are simply too many things for the Calamity survivors to have to think about right now, and that's something that could really
lleva la partida muy bien, sin que se vaya por que vaya intercambiando cuelgues va a ganarla.
Come back to bite them later on here.
A couple of really interesting things I noted in that last chase, and before our first couple of generators got completed, they forced the pain res to hit the gallows gen, as obviously it's a bit further away, allowing for both of them to get done. That was really nice by Calamity survivors. And in Marco's chase, just before going down, Marco tried to drop the firecracker, I think. I thought I saw the animation of the firecracker going down, but the chain cancelling it, which must be really frustrating.
You could also be incredibly sleep deprived.
No, well, look, listen. It's only 2 in the morning, all right? It's not that bad.
2 in the morning. It's not that bad, he says. Bro is in the DBD league casting trenches right now and has the audacity to say it's not that bad. But you're doing us a great service today, Spoker.
As are you, mate. As are you. It's always a pleasure, but not so much a pleasure for Marco, who's just gone to second stage as gen number 3 is getting completed. In this scenario, Noed will be coming into play later on in the game, so Zaka can use that to hunt down a fresh horse.
Cancela muy bien.
Get the 6 stages needed to take the win at least. So Calamity would need to play a perfect game here and then play a perfect game again, which It's not completely impossible, and I believe that
Muy
was
buena,
also
muy buena cadena.
coming into play as well, getting a tag onto Laser with it.
Muy buena cadena.
Yeah, works out here. Laser going to not make a single sound on account of the calm spirit being applied to them as well. It's clear that based off Laser's build, they really want them to kind of live and be the altruistic one, you know, calm spirit and empathic connection, left behind, babysitter, very kind of altruistic perks, but there's only so much room for altruism.
¿Veis? Que estos pares no sirven para nada contra Cenobita.
When you're being chased down by Zaka, and the down comes through before the body block can come through as well. It's just too little too late from the Calamity survivors.
Qué buena cadena. Muy buena cadena.
Other teams, this could be potentially fine, potentially a workable performance, but against Eternal, it simply isn't enough, right? That is going to
vale, va a meter idea
be
profunda.
another gen flying by the wayside, and Zaka has not secured any kills yet. Meaning that there are still 4 people.
Ya está, con que láser muera en gancho, ya gana la partida Zaka.
On their feet, who can do all the tasks required to finish against a pinhead, the caliber of Zaka. But that's another fresh hook onto Laser, another stage. Laser can be camped to death here, and that would be the win, right? That would get stage 5 and 6 as well. You'd be more than happy with that. So you need to get this pull and play essentially perfect from there.
Hostia, qué putada. Qué putada que se ha tepeado detrás de la pared. Qué putada.
Zaka might just be having a little bit of fun right now.
Qué buenas cadenas, madre mía.
The worst thing about this all, okay, we do see the pull happening, which is good, because if the second stage were to happen, that would have been the win met already on account of the fresh hooks acquired.
Qué buenas cadenas. Muy bien, muy bien.
It's good that this save happened.
Al ver estas partidas me doy cuenta del asco que me da Cenobita.
Pedro is in trouble at the main building here, and Rocket is answering the call to take the body block at the main building, which is awesome to see. We still need that last generator being done, and no more hook stages given out. Otherwise, we are in big trouble.
No llega a la ventana, no llega. No, aquí saca error. No llegaba a la ventana, porque el salto es medium bound y no llega.
Right, that is a nice fake that comes through from Pedro. It buys a little more time, but now what? You got the no-hit killer chasing you down. Pedro is going to get hooked up, is going to get killed here. And
tiene nuez aquí al lado. Ya está. Eternal ha ganado la partida.
I mean, this wasn't even a bad performance. This was not even a bad performance from the Survivors, considering the position they were in. But I truly think that Zaka did not play nearly as mean as he possibly could have. To be honest, I do think he was going back just a little bit. Rocket is just going to secure this win through. You do still get 3 escapes, potentially 3 escapes at the very least.
Ya está. Sexto cuelgue y adiós. Aunque ya lleva 3 primeros cuelgues y el otro se hizo solo 2 primeros cuelgues. Así que ya han ganado. Al hacer 3 primeros cuelgues.
Always capable of an upset, always capable of overcoming the odds when they really need to. Today, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, and I really want to put emphasis on the fact that Calamity still had a very above average performance / result in game number 2 here.
They're gonna go for the pull.
So, oh yeah, it actually does kind of look like it, and
it's a scrim now. It's a scrim. All right, guys, we're gonna practice. We're gonna practice our 2-mans. All right, we're gonna practice.
The end game doesn't really get to come. No, not taking the tag onto our phone. We have our survivors going into the hook.
Dice en plan, venga, iros, que me la suda, que ya hemos ganado.
And the chain hits Adam, but doesn't stop the unhook because that would be
Zaka's just going for a walk. Zaka's actually just
Zaka está en plan, venga, chavales, iros de aquí.
Right now, bro's taking in the environment, the natural beauty of the world right now. My man does not care. My man, I don't feel like there's a lot of room for.
Vale, así tener las perks y a la primera partida para Eternal. Siguiente partidita. Espíritu. Esto es pick de Eternal. Saca también con la Espíritu. Vale. Lleva el ladón de recarga más el ladón de velocidad. Para mí los mejores son los que tiene Espíritu actualmente. Iba con agitación. Se está jugando en... Esto es desguace, ¿no? Creo que es desguace. Agitación, erupción, nuez, intervención corrupta. Muy buenas perks. Agitación para llegar al sótano y campear muy gustosamente. y erupción para los motores, y nuez porque Espíritu, aunque sea muy fuerte en chase, ¿vale? Esto que al Espíritu le falla un poquito el 4 contra 1, el tema de ser 4 con 4, que el poder lo tienes cada... Bueno, con este addon creo que lo tienes cada 20 segundos, me parece por ahí, si no recuerdo mal. Cada 20 segundos tienes el poder. Y pues claro, le falla el control de mapa, 2 por ser nuez, eso no va a ponértelo, porque es fácil que te hagan los 5 generadores.
Legends, and welcome to
Bueno,
game
fácil, ¿vale?
3 of the losers finals of DBD League, where we're going to be seeing Zaka on the Spirit for Team Eternal, opening up this second set
Hala.
against Calamity Survivors. And is that Laser getting spotted out already here?
Yeah,
Muy
I
bien.
do believe so. And Laser just going to be
Es que da Espíritu, tío.
walking right into the face of Zaka right there.
Y me encanta jugarla, os lo aseguro, me encanta jugarla, pero me da un
A
asco.
little bit unfortunate to get that start early because, I mean, once you're injured, it is essentially almost impossible to actually gain any headway. In
Hala.
this, what options do you have, Laser? You're running into the comp corner, you're going down in the corrupted gen split.
Es que si el primer guantazo lo tiras en 10 segundos, el suplente está reventado.
It's what you can
A la Espíritu hay que aguantarla estando sano.
try and do,
Herido,
go as
estás
far away
hecho
from the
mierda.
gens as possible, but then you look at the actual progress on the gens and be like, oh no,
Es que mirar por
like
dónde va.
20%. And suddenly you're thinking, okay, well, this start is really bad for Calamity.
Muy bien láser yéndose a la esquina, ¿vale? Para no caer cerca del sótano, porque ahí la cambiaría muy fácil, ¿vale? Así que el láser en ese aspecto, bien.
Right now, again, like the hook is dragged away from the active generators. Zaka is going to have to make an active decision here of if you want to camp Laser death, that's fine, but you're not going to be able to control the generators around you all that much. Remember that 4Ks are very expected on the nurse. If you are able to, however, complete at least Spirit, you know, same killer, right? Same difference. Yeah,
Pedro
you
ya,
actually come
hostia.
through onto Pedro, but
No
as
lo
I
hemos
said
visto.
before, Spoker decided to rudely correct me. If you'd expect 4Ks on the Spirit, if you're able to complete at least 4 generators, then
Vale, 48-01. A ver lo que tarda en recargar.
that's decent for the survivors. Preferably you complete 5, and then at that point it doesn't necessarily matter if you are able to get out or
No,
not.
mucho
Even
menos.
if you go 12 stages right now. Laser
11 segundos tarda en recuperar el poder, ¿eh? Solo 11 segunditos con este addon. 11 segunditos, súper poco, ¿eh?
is going to be coming off the hook. Are you going to make time to get this
Muy bien contados los segundos aquí por parte de Zaka.
pallet? To get there, yes. To drop it and avoid the hit, that's another fact entirely. Pedro certainly can't be hiding here for the save because Pedro's injured, right? And from what I recall, Rocket and Hein were
No
over
se fía,
completing generators on the other corner of the map right now. So Zaka, of course, being a bit patient, being a bit careful, but yeah, that's
DS.
actually
Hostia, el DS. ¿Habéis visto al Espíritu qué poco lo dura? 2 segundos, creo. Así de DS, 2 segundos.
no.
Obviamente tiene la pared para protegerse. Hostia, no dura nada el DS.
Decisive
Contra el
strike.
Espíritu.
Okay, so
Ya sabéis que el DS está bugueado. Contra ciertos kills dura más y contra ciertos kills dura menos. Contra el Espíritu ya lo habéis visto. 2 segundos.
if anyone was going to be tunneled out, it was going to be Laser, right? That DS is going to buy you a little bit of extra time. I do say a little bit. I mean a little bit. Oh my god.
Es que ni tirando el padre de Zack le ha servido para pillar distancia. Para que veáis el lado en amarillo lo roto que está.
Okay.
No, roto no. Pero fuerte, está muy fuerte.
Well, what can you do about that then?
Yeah, I really liked how Laser just immediately drops the Shack Pallet without hesitation, given the current state of Decisive Strike and Spirit being one of the killers affected, only getting a 2 or 3
Yeah,
second
that's it.
stun, something along those lines.
Rough. I don't
It
mind
is
when I'm playing
ridiculous.
Spirit, but also that's a little messed up. I don't know what actually causes it. I've heard some things about like certain like killer models or if it's 110 or something, but some killers right now, for those who don't know, just simply don't get hit with the full 4-second DS stun. It's as simple as that.
Pedro.
And Pedro is going to be caught in the corner, injured up too. Going to be going down as well. You have another opportunity.
Láser le van a rescatar ahora.
If you're Zaka as well, and you can also return right back to this
Ahí
base,
está.
because right now you expect the pull to be coming through, and you would assume correctly.
Not gonna quite be able to body block.
Muy bien, herido Rocket.
The staircase arrived just short of time, but we do get that tag onto Rocket.
Qué buena.
Unhooker and Laser
Jesus
choosing to die
Christ.
on the pallet once again.
Uy,
These
uy.
downs are insanely quick, and Rocket is gonna be potentially getting caught in the crossfire here. No, Zaka immediately tried to go for the phase pickup, and it works out once again. Even though we got hit by decisive
Pues láser al pozo.
strike last time, it doesn't matter this time, as this is going to be the elimination onto
Oi.
Laser with only 2 gens completed. Not really a whole lot to show for it on Calamity's side. It's really looking like that Zaka is going to get an awesome result here. Just waiting for that.
Está jugando muy bien mecánicamente Zaka, Muy, pero que muy bien con Espíritu.
The cars here. But just quickly on the topic of the decisive strike bug, if anything, it makes me hopeful that in the future
Creo que todos los TPs han sido hit. Cuando ha estado en Chase, me refiero. Todos. No falla uno solo. Y un Espíritu que no falla. Es una patada en los huevos.
I'm curious though.
That's always going to be the argument, right? As the reset, does it actually get finished here? Okay, that's actually a pretty good heads-up play. Both of them were 99. They say, okay, we're gonna get Pedro's up fully because Rocket.
¡Qué buena, Pedro!
The Spirit was able to get away, and Pedro actually.
¡Qué buena, Pedro!
Nice little play there. Again, Spirit turns every single loop, even some of the safest ones in the game, into a 50-50 mind game. Gonna drop the firecracker and the pallet at the same time, but not both of them going to be getting as much value as you would like. Pedro, again.
Es que habéis visto, es que no llegas. Ha tirado el TP aquí, ha dado la vuelta por detrás del autobús y es que no llegas. Es que va súper rápido el Espíritu con el lado en amarillo. Súper rápido. Imaginaos con el lado en rojo. Con el lado en amarillo, lo rápido que va, imaginaos con el lado en rojo. O sea, mega roto el lado en rojo.
Really blame the survivors for going down in situations like this, right? I mean, it's so much of a burden to bear. Rocket is able to get fully healed up and is going to utilize that Deja Vuting team to work over on a generator now, looking at about 60% on it. Honestly, if you can just get one more gen here, you're probably pretty happy as the Calamity survivors, right? Rocket not going to be able to completely commit to that generator that was being worked on prior because Zaka is nearby. He also has a hook here as well. Now, this is a more defendable position. Here you have a couple of generators which are kind of not Hines, however. So instead it's going to be Rocket who has to use the Sprint Burst to come in for the save. It's going to get the will make it too, so...
Te la han descolgado, Zaka, hijo.
A reset onto Pedro, maybe, but no, you know that Spirit's going to be coming back for that hook, going to be hunting down Adam with every single shred of
Hola, Pedro, disfruta del túnel.
There's no real reason to heal up there.
Yeah, exactly right.
Un rabo.
Rocket can rotate back in to the active generator and try and work on getting it done. That eruption is going to come through, though. Baits out the dead!
El chungo contra Espíritu es una mierda, Por regla general es... normalmente no lo tiras. O lo tiras muy mal. Como ha sucedido, la verdad. Pero ¿habéis visto cuánta cantidad de oxígeno ha habido en esta parte del mapa? Pedro debe estar muy feliz con todos los palets que le han salido.
Zaka gets the dub.
What year is this, Booker? Is this 2020? Is this 2020? Are we still looking up to bait the dead art? Do we need to? Does Killer Whale need to make another 30-minute video about Dead Art or something like that? I don't know. I mean,
hey, if it works, it works.
If it works, it works, right? Pedro gonna be blocked on the hook. Anyway, I mean, people do make the argument that it doesn't really do anything, but the idea is that if you look up, you're in melee range of the survivor anyway, so they're probably going to use the dead art when they're there, right? Ultimately, doesn't matter. Pedro's gonna get quickly pulled off the hook, and it's a nice little stare down.
Pedro tiene los cojones de acero, no, de diamante.
A very eventful stare down. Now the real chase begins with Zaka going over on this hook. Another dead art that goes.
Se sabe que tiene chungo, no sirve para nada.
So Pedro right now is ducking.
El Pedro va a hacer rango 20, pero es que como Pedro hubiésemos sido todos literalmente.
The kind of invisible. I don't know, the invisible birds that fly through the air or something. That being said, the survivors actually two-manning this final generator. They are able to complete 4 generators here, and considering how poorly their early game went, this actually isn't a bad performance from them in the slightest, right? Now, of course, it's not perfect. You would like to get that last generator done, but completing 4 gens when you were down so badly, actually really good survivor play.
No jodas.
Speaking of really good survivor play, Rocket going for the
No
into
jodas.
basement. Mind game is going to completely throw off Zaka.
No se lo huele Zaka, qué raro, que no se huela esto.
Going to be checking the lockers even.
O sea, yo esto no me lo haría porque soy un macaco, pero Zaka es muy bueno.
Not going down into basement
Pues se la ha liado. Muy bien aquí, Rocket. Muy inteligente.
to check just yet. Is actually going to phase away and check up on the generators. So that's a win for Rocket right there. As we hear a bit of progress on that gen. And yeah, Hein was working this and managed to pre-leave very early on to completely avoid detection. Really, really well played.
Yeah, like the bell curve, right? And on the low range, you have new players being like, "I'm going to go hide in basement so the killer doesn't find me," and then the middle 90% of the player base, like, "No, what are you doing? Don't go into the basement. That's a terrible idea." And then like the top pro players being like, "I'm going to go into the basement so the killer doesn't find me." I mean, it's great play, right? What can we see? It's truly minds of our generation right now, functioning quite well.
Ha fallado el
You
motor.
can see that the survivors are actually trying to bully out some generators here. I mean, what can you really ask for as the Calamity survivors, right? You're asking for Rocket to kind of pull off some kind of miracle play here, juice around absolutely nothing for a long time, and maybe allow Hein to get progress on that generator, but actually thinking that, yeah, Zaka's actually going to be going to the other side
cuervos,
of the map
cuervos.
instead. Has Zaka spotted out our survivor here?
Allá había
Again,
cuervos.
hide and seek, how Dubbard was from the start and will ultimately come all the way back to as well. Zaka not actually able to find a Hein here, so allowing Rocket to incrementally progress generator, continue stealthing. Oh, we're going to be running in and able to keep kind of bouncing pressure back and forth, then there's potential for some kind of miracle play here, especially because Rocket still has this sprint burst, but oh no, we're going to be running into the bus there. Not an ideal use of it in the slightest.
Honestly,
no, hombre, no, Rocket, que te va a escuchar. Eso le ha escuchado 100%. 100% le ha escuchado.
A preemptive decision of...
¿No le ha escuchado? Yo creo, es que el armario se escucha mucho, ¿vale? El armario cuando se abre y cuando se cierra se escucha muchísimo, os lo aseguro. Y Zaka está bastante cerca. No sé, un poco raro, ¿eh?
And if the pallet was getting broken, that would have been really big distance for Rocket, but going for the locker play this time. Let's see if Zaka's going to be able to pick up on it. Yeah, expected it in Shack, and Rocket knowing that surely he won't know I'm in the locker.
Rocket es un ninja de mucho cuidado, ¿eh?
Still actually working. Yeah, it did.
Oh my.
Rocket's winning these 50s as Hein is now actually in a worse spot than last time, actually being caught in the side of the map. But Zaka is worried about the gen back at buses. Hein is going to be able to get back on that other gen as this progress is just going back and forth. This is probably one of the most advanced 2v1 situations we've seen in a while here throughout the league, and Calamity are playing it really, really well, all things considered. Oh, man.
Rocket went for the secret tech there of trying to smack the spirit like mid-phase, unfortunately not quite working and being felt on.
Ahí te falla el culo por 4 partes diferentes.
Your job is it to get back in the locker? You know you wanna, Hein. You know you wanna. He's getting the locker. The exact same locker that
¿Qué le pasa al comentarista? Ha tomado un poco de droga, ¿no?
Rocket was hiding in actually as well, so hopefully they, I don't know, maybe that monitor to watch the game for a couple of stages out, which, considering how poor your start was, getting 3 stages out here would be an absolute miracle, no less denying an entire fresh hook for the killer.
Oh no!
Creo que si no se mueve, quizá no le ve, quizá.
Timing for Hein is so unfortunate. I don't think Hein even makes it to the unhook in time. The phase is coming through. We do get the unhook, but it's now all up the Rocket. The sprint burst to make distance. Wrapped around, doesn't have a flashlight or a firecracker. Oh, this is disastrous, and everything has just fallen apart. The hopes of the
están en plan viva la vida.
One final gen getting completed has fallen apart here, as Rocket is going to be the last one in chase here, pretty much securing a 4K1 for Eternal.
I mean, you're able to get a little bit more mileage in this chase right now, but again, like, unable.
Pues 4K y 4 motores. Muy buena partida de Zaka. Vale, vamos a ver las perks, ahí os las dejo por si queréis verlas. Y vale, siguiente partida, 1-0-6. Vale. Jokat con Espíritu. Creo que la juega muy bien. Me suena haberla visto en un momento y la juega bastante bien. Va con carnicero en vez de nuez, lleva carnicero. Obviamente no tiene mucho sentido llevar nuez porque en la partida anterior han hecho 4 motores, no 5. Y va con ruina en vez de intervención. Tenía el otro killer. Bueno, está bien. Va con muy buena build, la verdad. Solo que ir sin intervención en este mapa ya puede ser la primera chase muy rápida o estás muy jodido.
To the losers finals, it is Eternal versus Calamity right here. Yeah, look, Elysium, Eternal, same difference, right? They both start with an E.
Hay pájaros.
It's that simple, right? Yokat on the side of Calamity has to pull out a pretty strong
muy bien
performance
aquí,
right now,
Spitz.
already going to get blocked up.
Spitz juega muy bien, es de los menos conocidos del equipo de Eternal y juega muy bien.
By Spitz. We are seeing a little bit of a different perk choice here. We're seeing a Sloppy Butcher and a Hex Ruin coming through as well. So this definitely works a bit more in your favor. If you're Yokat, you cannot afford to let every generator go. So you're not going to be too upset about, you know, the loss of a no-head.
Muy buen hit por parte de Joker.
Like that was a flick of the century through onto Spitz right there. And so finally, you got to be able to get a little bit of value.
Aquí está muerto. Se irá a una esquina y ya está.
By making distance, what we really mean against Spirit is run into
muy bien hecho, ¿vale? Para que no llegue al sótano, ¿vale?
To the corner and die as slowly as you possibly can, right?
Bueno, una primera chase rápida, la verdad.
Generators, oftentimes against the stronger killers, teams like to put 2 on one gen and then 1 on another to get yourself some better early game pressure. Instead, the rest of Eternal are going to be playing for a bit of a different strategy of just splitting all 3 survivors on 3 separate gens as well. A little bit more high risk, but certainly more high reward if you are able to get those all bullied out in time. And because Yokat's not actually...
Muy buena.
Wow.
Muy buena Yokat.
Okay, Yokat. I don't know what you had in your cereal this morning, but I want some of it. Right? Now, the unhook is going to come through onto Spitz here. And so Spitz has just made himself public enemy number 1 of Yokat. Has this pallet to work around, but we can see exactly how much good that pallet's going to do you.
Se ha liado aquí Yokat. Aquí mal jugado por él.
Running around in circles, and a nice vault there from Dan as well to just deny it a little bit. Remember that when you're not using your power on Spirit, you are only a 110 killer. You're not actually going to be all that effective at most loops and tiles, right? However,
muy buen chungo.
Dead comes out from Spitz at the last second, showing them that's how you
chungo justo llegar al paleta es el mejor chungo del
do it, lad. That's how you use your Dead Art in chase to make more distance, get to the corner, able to get to the bus, and able to drop the pallet as well. Put some little bit of distance between you and the Spirit. Obviously, this pallet is definitely not nearly as safe as it looks.
¿Cómo deciros esto? Spitz ahora mismo le ha puesto el Yokat a 4 y le está dando por todos los agujeros a la vez. Lo ha fulminado, ¿vale? Está roto Yokat en el suelo. Qué barbaridad lo que acabo de ver.
Another gen comes through right now, and this is all but decided for Eternal now. Spitz will eventually go down in the corner, but Christ...
Spitz acaba de ganar la partida.
He made Yokat work
Así,
for it.
de fácil.
Oh my goodness. I think Spitz is really out here just farming all of the clips of the juicer chases, specifically on the Wrecker's Yard as well.
Madre mía.
Similar to what we saw with
Vaya follada, tú.
Now Spirit. Spitz has got a whole montage from Season 9, and I'm looking forward to see it. But, yeah, this is a very tough position for Calamity to be in at the moment. Yokotics is coming out swinging.
Buena aquí de Yokat. Buen olfato.
And a really early first hook onto Spitz, but it's just not enough for the auto aim on the tires.
Bueno,
this is just
sin más,
juking
hace el
at this
hit.
point now. Tag goes onto Dan, and the sloppy butcher is applied as we go over towards his Palagin with some progress.
¿Qué hace Dan?
And Dan is just opting to take the
¿Qué hace Dan en el motor allá al lado? Herido, no sé.
The aggro away from Spitz and the unhook.
Remember that you're actually... Ruin's still up right now, so you are to a degree denying yourself of value from that eruption, right?
Muy bien, queda equilibrada, muy bien usada.
Complete the heal onto Spitz as well. Nightlight does take a hit for it, but
Te va a dar el hit,
will make
se va a dar,
it mean that Spitz is not going to be a particularly appealing tunnel out target either, because you're going to have to get 2 hits as opposed to just 1, and another generator flying by. Tie condition now has been officially met for Eternal, but let's be completely honest with ourselves here, Mr. Spokerman.
Aquí Jokat mal, Aquí Jokat se ve a oler que va hacia el palo, no hacia el autobús.
Spoker, the guy who's just putting on an
Le deja, Es como dos.
Australian accent to pretend, I guess.
2 cuelgues, para que veáis la diferencia de partida. El otro se ha hecho 4K con 4 motores.
Remember that one more generator wins a turn this game, and to be honest, I don't see a world in which they don't manage it.
Muy bien.
But Nightlight is getting caught out here, injured, going down quite quick here near the Palace. Ruin doing its job and doing it well. I'm not sure if we have eyes. We do see the totem quite close to where all our generators are, so nice placement for Yokotics, I would say, and can't really play for a pickup onto Nightlight at all, because even Zaka is lurking in the shadows, ready to go for this save. And
¿Dónde está el Espíritu?
Resetting with was that the medkit, or was that self-care or something like that?
It was the medkit, I believe, was the medkit. Okay. Still had a little bit of charge left in it, I think. Against the Spirit, you're basically allowed to bring a
Spitz está jugando
right?
Como un dios,
medkit, so Dan going to be using that to its full effectiveness right there. The entire gang is out here to protect Nightlight for a little bit, but Yokat going to be looking for a nice intercept, and is going to manage it as well. Preferably Nightlight is able to path over to this pallet over on the side, but actually just going to be escaping entirely, as Yokat is forced to go right back over to the generators to keep an eye on him right now. I mean, 3 gens can be tricky to break when there's a ruin in play, but realistically, when you have 4 survivors alive, it's only really a matter of patience, right? Yokat could commit here. If you can get a really quick down onto Spitz, maybe you
Spitz está moviendo muy bien, por el motor.
Have a chance in this, but I say it's really quick. I mean to the degree where the first hit should have already come through before my sentence was finished, and it hasn't, and that's the margin that we're looking at, and it's something very difficult to overcome. That being said, Spitz is going to give a little bit of a friendly gift over to our killer right now. But now it's just going to be running over to the top of the map. And it doesn't even matter if you just quickly go down there, because you're taking eyes off the generators. And again, Yokat tries to come back to pressure it out, but you can't commit to everything at once, unfortunately. Eventually, you're going to be forced into a position you don't like. Right now, you're able to get an M1 onto Zaka, but think of the time that bought for maybe Dan or Nightlight to just continue. Or maybe them to just double it up even. And suddenly you hear how progress it is. That is on the precipice of being completed and putting Eternal on match point.
Es que está contra 4. Si estuviese contra 3 todavía podría intentar remontarla, pero contra 4 es imposible.
Yeah, and we've already...
Y Spitz está jugando muy bien y es el único que muere.
You see the pickup and full reset onto Spitz as we're now pressuring a completely different generator over towards the buses, as we do spot out Dan, who I'm sure your colleagues will be really happy about spotting out Dan here, but Dan is also really happy about being spotted out here as well, as that bus gen's getting doubled, and your colleagues is not phasing to it, so Dan is eating good tonight, going to be trying to take this chase.
¿Dónde está el Ace, tú? Lo ha perdido, el Ace.
Already done and set in stone.
Lo ha perdido que te cagas.
Eternal has taken the second set as well, with Deathslinger on Suffocation Pit being our
Vamos a ver Arponero, chicos.
For the night, game number 5.
Pozo de asfixia.
Starting off on killer. They'll have to set a monstrous
2-0 para Eternal de momento.
Keep him in the game, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, this is what, the $300 of these teams on the line, right? Obviously,
creo que se ha dejado pegar hit aposta, Con eso lo digo todo.
Losing here will get you $700. Making the finals, even if you get second place, will get you $1,000. So you know the exact tangible.
Qué chungo se acaba de comer, tío.
Sum that you're playing for in space. Not even.
Aquí error de Yokat, tienes que aguantar el chungo. Sabes que ese surby ya tiene el chungo. Aguántalo, no pegues el chungo.
Satisfaction of an extra hook onto the team able to.
2 cuelgues ha hecho de Yokat. Hay mucha diferencia de nivel, mucha diferencia. Mirad que Calamity es un equipazo, pero es que hay una diferencia. Parece que este es el Real Madrid y este es el Granada. O sea, con todo el amor que le tengo a Granada, mi padre es de Granada, que lo sepáis, o sea, le tengo mucho por la Granada, pero es que hay una diferencia abrumadora, la verdad. Vale, vamos a la tercera partida del videito. Aquí tenéis, ¿vale? Lo que venimos hasta la final, y el que gane se enfrentará a la final contra Eternal. Vale, Arponero, pozo de asfixia, va con los mejores senos para mí que tiene Arponero, el puro, para tener poca fatiga cuando se rompa la cadena. y las llaves del alcaide, si no recuerdo mal, que son para tener mayor velocidad de recarga. Y va con full build prácticamente de persecución y solo intervención para que al principio no te rusen a lo bestia. Pero si os fijáis, Arponero, estás enfocado en 1 contra 1, no vas a poder controlar el mapa, así que enfocado en poder reventar lo máximo posible a base de chases.
Alrighty, Legends,
A ver qué tal.
welcome back this time to the Suffocation Pit,
Yokat,
as
a ver qué tal lo
V1
hace.
has very kindly introduced for everyone already. But we have Calamity.
El Arponero es un killer bastante complicado, de hecho sé que los addons hace esta semana mismo. Un killer bastante complicado de jugar, es una curva de aprendizaje muy alta. En el canal he analizado para mí el mejor Arponero que he visto en mi vida de públicas, que se llamaba Zaples, ¿vale? Un Arponero brutal, la verdad. Y pero claro, no es un jugador competitivo, es un jugador de públicas. Pero es un killer muy complicado de llevar, la verdad. Sobre todo de llevar muy bien, ¿vale? El arpón es complicado saber meterlo.
On the killer.
No penséis mal, cabrones. No penséis.
Yokotics on the slinger, and I see a forced hesitation pick, and I'm already excited. Calamity has a lot of work to do, down 2 set points as we speak, but things could all change in the blink of an eye, and we're all here for it.
Remember, Spoker, never back down, never give up. Right? Now, Yokat is going to be trying to keep this central portion of the map maintained right now. This is the choke on Suffocation Pit that you want to control. Stop the survivors getting into the map. Pressuring out some of those generators. But it seems like the survivors are actually okay to just sort of stealth within the corrupted gens a little bit. They can wait this out. If Yokat's not going to go all the way to the edge map to risk people running in, then the survivors don't really have a reason to leave, right? Though now we can see that a couple of them are actually going to successfully make the impassable crossing right now. Yokat really needs to get his chase on nice and early here, because your map pressure is essentially none as a Death Slinger, right? So you need to rely...
Es difícil el killer. Hasta gente muy buena falla.
Careful, mate. You need to rely more so on just getting quick chases, quick hits, to build up your pressure with lots of hooks, right? Now, Yokat definitely knows about all these angles, right? Tries to get through onto them and barely missing out Zaka there as well. Going to continue to play this Shack. Now,
qué buena, muy buena.
It's pretty standard right now, and now you can see the value that cigar is going to give, right? It's essentially, it's a pocket save the best for last. You'll be able to pocket save best for last. It means that when your chain breaks, your stun is going to be reduced significantly, right? So you're able to just get right back into the chase. Warden's keys as well for the faster reload. This just makes the most logical sense, right? You're going to be shooting a lot.
Mucho cuidado.
And the reload is your downtime. Reduce the downtime as much as you can.
Aquí saca la de los nervios.
And Zaka, uncharacteristically getting caught out there in a bit of a predicament. So now it's going to be a basement hook going over to Yokat. I'm not going to say the earliest basement hook I've ever seen, but, you know, you'll take it. You'll definitely take it.
Now, what I'm sort of confused about here entirely is that I don't believe that you can shoot through those boarded up Macmillan windows, specifically on the Macmillan realm. This was a change that happened quite a while ago, and I'm not sure if maybe something new has changed allowing it again, but if that's the case, then it is a bit of wasted time going for those window shots, but hopefully I will get either corrected or my suspicions will be confirmed. But the chase will be going on to Nightlight, who was one of the survivors. Is active in the middle, and a beautiful shot by Yokatix through the window, through the wall with the cigar as we get that reload nice and quick. Nightlight in a really awkward spot, having to run around water tower, going for it.
Por poco, pero no.
Greedy shot there. Unfortunately, not quite coming through, but
why not, right? Why not when you can land them like that, you know? Now, unfortunately, not.
Qué buen disparo, por poco no ha llegado.
Barely going to be able to drop off onto that low ground there to deny that one out, but you're feeling confident if you're Yokat, and, you know, you have those keys as well. You try and go for the lineup through the tree right there, but it's like a dangerous game of one-upsmanship right now. You know, you go for the shot through the tree. Nightlight's going to crouch that one because you know exactly where you are. But Nightlight has been bullied firmly into the corner of the map. Is going to be going getting unhooked. That completely neuters out the speed bonus that they get from being unhooked, and you can just sort of brutalize them, right? So that's where Yokat's going to try and get this value, right?
Even worse though is that if you actually get the
Tiene
shot
Trillén
on
allí,
the
me
person who's
parece.
being unhooked, wait that 10 seconds because you've got them chained. The other survivor who stays there is going to be forced to try and take that hit, and if they fail to take that hit, they get forced hesied.
No tiene Trillén, tiene solo dos generadores.
Regardless, so you get the down and you get a free tag.
Así que ya ha abandonado los
motores. A lot of
motores.
pressure on the unhooker to be able to take that hit, so I can understand the forced hesi pick quite a lot actually.
Yeah, definitely an understandable pick for them right now. Nightlight's going to be hanging on this hook, and Spit's going to be bullying out Generator over on the other side of the map. And for Yokat, you definitely want to kind of be
era muy buen disparo, era muy buen predict. Pero aquí, no sé qué es. Aquí CK muy bien olido ese predict.
You're not going to be able to get the hit through there. You're not going to be able to get the shot, not going to be able to deny that unhook as well. You're just going to have to settle for a regular M1 onto Zaka instead. And that's going to be the Shat pallet drop nice and early. Pre-dropping pallets when you're injured against a Deathslinger is always going to be valuable, right? It means that there is essentially no way that you can realistically be hit through that. Forces the break, forces all...
¿Veis? A punto a mago. Y cuando lo tiene claro, lo dispara y a la primera.
be completed as well. And yeah, you're able to get a nice
sabe que tiene 9.
late shot. Going to be the second.
Así me da a mí que van a ser 4 cuelgues y ya está.
Third, and that's only 4 stages.
Ahí está el 9 además.
And that's assuming right next to the...
Es 4 cuelgues. Vale, es una partida, la verdad, malilla. 4 cuelgues es poco. Mínimo 5. Mínimo 5. Y 6 o 7 estaría muy bien, la verdad. Pero 4 son poquillos, la verdad. Vale, 1.30. Acá. Va con mismos addons y en vez de tener que tener al otro carnicero chapucero, lleva rencor. Aquí está.
And right now, Zaka has the opportunity to close this up in dominating fashion, punch Eternal's ticket to their grand finals next week against Elysium, but Calamity still potentially have some life in here, but we'll be honest, and I'm not just saying this because we are on Slinger, they are staring down the barrel, right?
Vamos, tiene pinta de un 3-0, chicos.
Now, I mean, 5 stages is all Zaka needs, right? And bringing along Noed and Rancor as well, that in itself almost guarantees, well, at least, if you play it perfectly, at least 6 stages, right? So... certainly not too worried if you're certainly not too worried if you're Zaka, right? You're eventually going to be getting an early hit on
Aquí Marcos ha metido un mal sitio
as well, far earlier than was able to get than Yokats was able to get last time. So Zaka's feeling good about that.
Muy bien, Marcos.
One goes for a long range shot, but always going to be a little bit tricky there. Now has a shack to play around. Might be trying to shoot through some of these kind of, you know, window panes, but that's going to be a nice pre-drop from Marco. Forces the chase away from the shack. Actually, no, he's going to be continuing to play it anyway. Never mind, Marco going to get over to the pallet, but intercepted. It's such a small choke. Whenever you get yourself quite directly on a pallet, as the survivor, it's always such an easy shot for the Slinger to line up, because where else are you going to go, right? And you're going to get the first hook into the basement as well. I mean... Calamity, your Cinderella run was impressive, it was wonderful, but you need to make something happen, you need to make it happen now, or else it's going to be over.
Yeah, now in this case, even
como va a campear, voy a pasarlo rápido, ¿vale, chicos?
Right, and then kill someone with...
Vale, ahí le han hecho primero el motor.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Zaka could also just camp out Marco here, right? And then kill someone with Noed. That's an easy way to get yourself the sage that you need, but he's actually having to get the injure through onto Laser as well. It seems like Laser was the one who was positioning for that unhook, and we're going to be having a couple...
¿Qué ha pasado? Vale, por lo visto algunos se ha salido del internet. Vale. Más o menos por aquí entonces la siguiente. Vale, un segundo.
Hello everyone, so a little
se la ha valido el internet y entonces repiten la
A little
partida.
bit of housekeeping so we can
Si os fijáis aquí le han quitado un medio puntito, ¿vale? De 4 cuelgues que tenía, 3,5, ¿vale? Por el del... lo diré,
explain
el DC, ¿vale? El disconnect.
exactly what happened. It was one of the Calamity survivors who rolled in with the wrong perk.
Así que peor para ellos. Si hace 4 cuelgues Zaka, ya ha ganado la partida.
Teams are required to submit their perk builds before the match begins, and if they have a different perk, then they are subjected to the standard punishment within the rule set. What that means is they have to remove the perk, and they
Yo creo que ha tirado el cable, ¿eh? En plan, me han visto que la partida ya estaba perdida, han tirado el cable, han dicho, me voy a comer medio punto de penalización y prefiero repetir la partida a ver si nos sale mejor. Yo creo que literalmente creo que ha tirado el cable. La verdad no creo que se la haya el internet.
are not
Pero bueno, eso es suposición mía, es totalmente.
able
No sé qué opináis vosotros, pero yo opino eso.
to replace it. They have a half hook stage penalty, and the
Por
killer
poco.
is allowed to change their build to anything that they want, obviously provided that it is still within the balancing.
Sí, dice que el killer puede cambiar la build, ¿vale? Los subbis no, los subbis tienen que repetir la build cuadrada cada uno, pero el killer puede cambiar la build si quiere, pero bueno, Zaka no la ha cambiado.
So that's the main thing. Essentially, what this means is that now a tie condition would be a win. For the a tie condition would be a win here for Zaka, right? So if Zaka is able to just secure 4 stages, it's that simple. Zaka will win this set, and Eternal will be 3-0 here, and it'll be simply another day at the office for Eternal, right?
Clocking in for that 9 to 5, baby. You know how it be. But his first chase is being quite delayed onto Laser here, who manages to make it around the tile here, back towards over the pallet, I'd have to assume. And yeah, actually goes for the green, and it pays off here as well. Normally, you would be expecting to see a pre-drop.
Muy buena será ahí.
Instead, we
Pero
see
que luego se comió hit.
to the face as we get that first tag, and the chase going towards the middle of the.
Decía que es que la gente está hablando muy alto. Decía que la saqué muy bien ahí ese esquive, pero luego claro. Un besito al Arponero.
Just barely being able to dodge out the sight lines of Zaka on the Redeemer as the chase is going up towards the corrupt side of the map, where we do see a 4th generator on the top side. No fabled 5 gen spawn, sadly. The first gen's getting done from this.
Yeah, so the gens are going to be bullied out over in the corner here. Laser hasn't actually gone down yet, so if we compare this to, you know, the set just before, things are actually going a little bit better for the survivors right now. Hein tried to get the body block, but wasn't able to come in time. Zaka would love a cheeky little shot, maybe an injure there, but not going to get it. Is going to be happy to put the agitation as the intricacies.
Vale, ya sea el
Being able
ganchito.
to choose exactly where you can place your hooks is so valuable, right? And Marco tried to stealth in for the quick save, but actually gets caught here. And so now Laser's not going to get saved. And Marco can't just...
¿Veis todo lo que amagan? Estos son buenos arponeros. Los que amagan mucho, esos dan mucho por culo. Y cuando tienen claro, ¡pum! Disparo.
the pallet in Zaka's face either, because remember that you don't actually need to get the injure. You don't need to get the M1 after a shot on a healthy survivor. You'll just injure them by virtue of shooting them and breaking the chain, right? Barely getting the miss onto Laser there. So instead it's Hein who is going to feel the wrath of Zaka's Redeemer right now. Eventually, yeah, just catching that one through. And you see often, because
Esto lo hace para que se quede en el sitio y luego
of
reventarle el
the
culo.
cigar add-on, so many
Por el lado.
Slinger players are happy to just get their first shot and then wait, right? That is going to be a use of the fire.
Ah, ya ha fallado ahí por mantener demasiado.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, I say, for Zaka, but never mind. It's a slippery fish that we got from Hein instead. Gonna be pre-dropping that pallet as well, making some distance. Reset did come from Mark. Oh my god, I can feel that shot whizzing past my ear, Spoker.
Yeah, that was a taper fade right there for Hein as he goes into the main building, dodging out that shot. Rotating back around still to the front of main, trying to take the opportunity to cross to the other side of the map as Pedro is going to be here to take some hits. And there's the shot. Zaka going to try and use that cigar once again to see a ridiculous amount of value with the cooldown.
Qué pedazo de arpón, chaval. Máxima distancia, yo diría.
Especially with the changes
18 metros.
I believe a few months ago now.
Muy buena.
Shot through the window onto Pedro. We're going to get that down.
Brutal, Zaka,
This tile here towards the top middle as we get our second hook of the game. As
por
we
poco,
try to pressure Survivor off of that gen as well.
Yeah, trying to get them off of the gen doesn't seem to be. It doesn't really seem to be working. These gens
Va con 3 perks el
still
Surbi
going to
ese.
be progress quite well.
Debe ser cosa de
Honestly,
normas,
I'm quite impressed with how the survivors have been putting up here right now. The gen progress is pretty good.
Ay,
The
qué
last two
pena.
generators
Muy buena idea
are
era.
going completed, and Pedro was the Delhi survivor as well. I mean, it is the Adam perk on Adam, so that does make at least, I don't know, lore accurate Adam, I guess. Though I'm not
Tiene segundo aliento, Pedro.
sure where in Adam's lore he learned how to get himself off of a meat hook, but that's besides the point, right? Zaka going to be returning over to this generator split. Another one done. Pedro also going to be healed up as well. Oh, never mind. That wasn't a deliverance. That was a just an unhook with second wind. Pedro was able to get the automatic heal afterwards. So everything that I just said goes completely out the window. Body block does come through onto Hein. And again, we're seeing a...
Si os fijáis aquí, muy bien Marco, muy inteligente, no tirar la cadena para que no se aproveche de su error, ¿vale?
strange little tango between the players right now, but Marco actually not going to struggle there, going to force out to get the M1, means that some distance can be made, and another
No duda, apunte y dispara, pum,
body
el
block
tiro.
comes through. This is all good stuff for the... It's happening again. Oh my god. I mean, this is good stuff for the survivors, that they are able to take these hits for each other, buy some time, but you're going to run out of fresh bodies eventually, right? And especially
Podría haber esquivado aquí láser, la verdad, podría haber esquivado, pero bueno.
there,
Es
where one of them's
complicado.
going to get caught out.
This is stage
Vale.
number 3 for Zaka, but Calamity are doing an absolutely
Tercer cuelgue.
insane job holding this together with how they were playing those chases very aggressively with all the hit tanks. And to be at this stage right now, where the last gen should be getting done with before... Oh, actually, no, we have a reset happening.
Con un cuelgue más, ganaría.
By Pedro, as it's going to get interrupted as Zaka comes over towards that. We need that rescue onto laser, and seeing the reset, Zaka, I don't think really has the time to commit on this shack side unless we see someone directly. We see Hind rotating over to go for that pull onto laser, which is so desperately needed. We didn't fully get the reset onto Marco, though, and it could be curtains right here.
Yeah, what you have to play with, but you're not able to get to it in time, and there it is. That it is. Again, would have been a time back to
Ya está, ya ha ganado Eternal.
I mean, Calamity do get $700 out of this, you know. It's certainly not the worst day at the office that you could have, but it's also not where you want to be, especially because I want to emphasize Calamity have genuinely had a solid series, and they've had an incredible season as well. In this case, it just wasn't enough, you know. You're going against Eternal, you can't afford to be good.
Ha dicho ya, mira, haz conmigo lo que quieras que ya has ganado.
Walks from behind, though. Oh, you still got to acknowledge the task. And even with the Cenobita.
Pues, ¿cuántos cuelgues ha hecho? 3, 5, 6 cuelgues. ¿Veis? 6 cuelgues ya con Arponero es una partida buena, la verdad. 7 sería una partida de la hostia, pero 6 cuelgues ya está bien. Y claro, el otro compensa ha hecho 4. Hay bastante, parece no, pero esos 2 cuelgues hay bastante diferencia. Pues nada, Eternal 3-0, ¿vale? Aquí lo veis, Eternal 3, Calamity 0. Es el resultado esperable, la verdad, porque Eternal, yo os digo, Eternal y Elysium están ahí. Calamity este que es un pedazo de equipo, pues está en playoffs, ¿vale? Es de los 4 mejores equipos de Europa y para mí del mundo. Pero hay mucha diferencia de nivel. Ya lo habéis visto, en plan... los jugadores de Calamity se nota que son bastante peores, pero no son malos, son muy buenos. O sea, les tengo un respeto de la hostia. Yo me gustaría ser como cualquiera de Calamity, literalmente. O sea, son los 4 pedazos de jugadores. Sobre todo para mí, Láser y Pedro. Para mí son los 2 mejores. Pero... Y Marco mecánicamente juega muy bien de killer. Pero es que hay muchísima diferencia. O sea... es como ver un equipo de primera contra... O sea, de equipo de primera división, por así decirlo, de arriba, con un equipo de primera de baja tabla, por así decirlo, entre tal. Que estos no son de baja tabla, Calamity, pero por la diferencia de nivel que hay, lo parece, ¿vale? Calamity, ya os digo, top 4 equipos de Europa. Y eso, que es increíble que haya tanta diferencia de nivel con equipos que son tan buenos. Así que nada, ya cuando se juegue la final, chicos, entre Eternal y Elysium, que todavía no se ha jugado, ¿vale? Si vamos aquí a DBD League, ¿vale? Vais a ver que todavía no se ha jugado, ¿vale? Misiones anteriores, si os fijáis, todavía no se ha jugado. Entonces, cuando se juegue, la traeré al canal y la veremos todos juntos. Espero, por favor, que no sea otro vídeo de 3 horas, por favor. Y así que nada, que espero que os haya gustado el partidito, que hayáis disfrutado de las partidas, que hayáis aprendido un poquitín. Y nos vemos mañana con un vídeo de Buggy Liga para echarnos unas buenas risas aquí en familia. Así que nada, hasta mañana, chavales. Chau, chau.